On Monday, September 2nd at 8 p.m. at Cardinal Stadium in Louisville, Kentucky, the 20-point underdog Louisville Cardinals looked to shock the world against a playoff participant last year, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. It's Ian Book and Company, it's Jawon Pass and crew, and we're going to go over the deets right now on Lego on Fuego.
Hi.
Shockville world. That had me cracking up, man. The only thing that would actually be shocking is if the Cards could keep their losses in single digits in 2019. Man, last year was an absolute train wreck for them. Now you're looking at a new head football coach with Scott Satterfield in the Bluegrass State, and you're fresh off a season where your only wins were Indiana State and Western Kentucky. Or as I like to call them, who and who the heck. You gave up at least 38 points in 8 of your 10 losses. You gave up 52 points or more in 6 of your last 7 losses. You had 121 pass yards or less in 6 of your 12 games, or half of your games, with a quarterback for much of the season whose last name is Pass. Honestly, could it get any worse for y'all over there? Because I'd be crying every single day and twice on Sundays if we were going through the turmoil that you guys are going through. You mean you're not already doing that after being shellacked by Clemson 30-3 in the playoffs that you weren't even meant to be in the first place? At least back when we had Lamar Jackson and we were good, the Clemson-Louisville game was an absolute classic. You guys, on the other hand, just got embarrassed. You had a 22-17 scare against Vandy, a 19-14 scare against Pitt, a Pitt team who, mind you, lost to a relatively average Penn State team 51-6 that season. Honestly, the record books might as well put an asterisk by your 12-0 record last season, because there wasn't much doing on your end. There was more of a lack of good opponents that you were up against. This year you lose 2 of your linebackers and best defensive players in Drew Tranquill and Tevin Coney. Julian Love is of course gone after being picked 108th by the New York Football Giants. Your starting center and 2 other offensive linemen who had significant playing time last year are also gone. Dexter Williams, your top running back and quite the producer, is out. And Myles Boykin, your tall and #1 go-to receiver, departed. And to top it all off, your schedule isn't the cupcake fest that it was in 2018. You're at Georgia versus Virginia versus Southern Cal, at Michigan versus Virginia Tech, at Stanford, and versus Boston College. You know, you might not want to crack on our 2-10 season over there, bud. No promise that Notre Dame will be solid this season, given that they actually play a schedule with a pulse. I noticed you didn't mention your own team when you talked about the difficult teams we play in 2019. Interesting. The fact of the matter is, yes, we lost a lot of talent from last year's team, but we're returning the most important position in my book, no pun intended, in Ian Book, who just absolutely played awesome after taking over for Brandon Wimbush early in the season. He went 214 for 314 with a 68.2% completion percentage. Much more accurate with the football than Brandon. 2,628 yards, 19 touchdowns, and just 7 interceptions. He led us to some big wins despite what you might say about our schedule. Before he came in, we of course ousted number 14 Michigan. Then with him, we beat number 7 Stanford at the time, number 24 Virginia Tech at the time, and number 12 Syracuse at the time. And with Syracuse, we just obliterated them. And also, we can't really help that our schedule wasn't that good last year. Notre Dame always schedules very formidable opponents, but it's not our fault when the other teams aren't doing their job. I mean, there were teams on the schedule that years ago looked like they were going to be good, but weren't. In fact, I'm looking at one of them right now. You, Louisville. You were supposed to be a good win for us in 2019. Now you're more of a cupcake tune-up game. With Book back under center, we're all set. A lot of new faces coming in, and I understand the need for adjustment, but when the one constant is the quarterback, everything else just kind of falls into place. In a good way. Then on the defense, we're squared away with some excellent edge rushers and a true strength on that side of the ball. I'm talking about Julian, Khalid Kareem, and Dalen Hayes. They shouldn't have much of a problem getting to Jawon Pass, especially with that awful offensive line of yours. And as bad as it was already, they're losing 3 guys from that unit from last year, as well as 1 safety and 1 cornerback on defense. So 2 new secondary players for Ian Book to pick on a defense that was already terrible. That just sounds too good to be true. That secondary is bad and young. Remind me again why we're only a 20-point favorite? I think we just need to cut this one short, man. This isn't what the people want to see. It's going to be a blowout, so let's spare the antics and get right down to brass tacks. We're going to cover the spread and then some. Notre Dame by 30. Go Irish. Say what you want, man. We're young and hungry. Shatarius Atwell looks to shine at the wide receiver spot. Hassan Hall had 1,220 all-purpose yards last season and literally does it all. And Tiberius Peterson had 6.5 tackles for a loss last year and 2 sacks. They're the guys that you're going to want to pay attention to in this one and throughout the entirety of the season. And again, they're going to be big factors as to why we shocked the world in week 1. We're ready. Go Cards. Bam! Bam! Another preview down and one in the record Ian books. And now pretty much all the week 1 meaningful games are handled. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel right here if you want the most fun, creative, and entertaining college football material all season long. I'll have previews like this, top 25 prediction videos, funny skits like that of Scooter Magruder's, and just anything that you can possibly imagine to make this 2019 football season and onward as awesome as possible. Like this video if you liked it. If you didn't, head over to an Uncle Lou video and let your frustrations out there. He's a little bit better at handling criticism than I am. Have a great day and I'll see you in the next one.